All right. Big Street Fighter V news today. We got our first huge announcement for November, which I'm sure a lot of you guys heard about last night, but we're going to be talking about it right now. So the final Capcom Cup tournament this year has finally concluded. Besides, of course, Capcom Cup Finals itself for 2019. That's coming right around the corner anyways. So Ono came on the stage as promised, and surprisingly without any crazy massive trailer leak the day or week before, and he showed us not only one but two trailers, which include a brand new character, new mechanics, finally new mechanics coming to Street Fighter V, as well as, of course, yet another version of Street Fighter V. So there's obviously a ton of stuff that we need to talk about, guys, and there's a lot of things to digest here. I'm going to first go over, like in this video, we're just going to summarize a lot of the stuff, a lot of the content and details, and of course I'll go over the pricing and requirements for the new edition and stuff, so you guys fully understand it. But of course, you know, when I get some more time during this week, we'll definitely go way more in depth with the breakdowns on the new character and such, and new mechanics, when I get the extra time. But, you know, I don't want this video to be 5 hours long, but I am very excited, of course, to talk about it. So, I mean, first, let's talk about the new character, okay? Let's talk about the new character announcement, which is Gill, okay? So, Gill, was that at the top of the list for the character popularity poll, Capcom? I don't know, man. Gill was 75th on that poll. I don't know. That poll is rigged for sure. Was Gill on the top of the list of characters that people wanted? I've heard a lot of people want Makoto, Oro, Sea Viper, Rose, but no, it's Gill. One thing for sure is that Gill falls under the storyline, because Street Fighter V is transitioning to Street Fighter 3. We even saw it from Street Fighter V storyline itself, with showing off Gill, a little teaser of Gill at the ending there. And yeah, I think it works out. I think we'll probably see some more Street Fighter 3 characters in the future as well. But yeah, I think Gill works. He's definitely like a really known, popular character as well, and I guess he looks good on the front cover of the game, because there's only so many characters you could put on the front cover of the box. Akuma and Ryu is one of them, but Gill is kind of like another character that shows off a lot of flair for it. So, and it also is kind of weird that Yurin has that Gill costume, but whatever, that's all in the past. So, from what I've read so far, and what we've seen from the trailer and such, he's definitely not just a Yurian clone. He's definitely he's very unique in Street Fighter V, but they also kept you know, him as this godly boss character intact, and even have some of his returning like his cheap combos returning. So that's good. They add that Street Fighter V flair to him. There's some subtle differences, like I said, we'll go over in more detail, like his dash and his movement and such, but it's okay. So the way that Capcom is going to balance Gill's godliness while still keeping him like, as a godly character, so he doesn't get banned from every single tournament, you guys are actually learning him for a reason, is by giving him this new unique mechanic called Retribution. Okay, so the way this mechanic works in a nutshell, and this might sound confusing at first, but trust me, it's actually quite simple. The way it works is that certain attacks that Gill does will put your opponent into an elemental state, either fire or ice. If the opponent gets hit again while still in this elemental state with the opposite element, then the Retribution effect occurs, doing an anti-type damage, and Gill will have added properties to whatever move that he used. So I'll give you guys an example, because I probably didn't explain that well. So for example, in the trailer, we see Gill hit the opponent with an EX Cryokinesis, that's his fireball, which puts an elemental debuff on the opponent. You see they're frozen, they're all completely blue. He then follows up with a Standing Heavy Punch, which is a fire type attack because you see the burning around his hand. And this is the opposite element of ice, and therefore this activates the Retribution mechanic, which makes the Standing Heavy Punch very, very plus on hit, allowing Gill to still continue the combo with Crouching Hard Punch. So there are much more different properties than just added frame advantage when you do Retribution. There's things like wall bounces we see. They explain there's hard knockdowns. There's even extra juggle states. So Gill's going to do these really cool boss character combos when you fulfill this requirement. So, and also when you do the Retribution, the attack that you hit with also gets bonus damage itself. So this is going to be the key game plan of Gill, and I think this is pretty Pretty clever by Capcom to allow Gill to be, you know, like I said, this really strong boss character while also trying to keep it fair and balanced so that this character will be usable from other players in ranked and, of course, in tournaments in the future. So, little tidbits here. One thing is it does not matter what side of the stage. If you're a player 1 side or player 2 side, with Gill, it doesn't matter what. All the elements and attacks are tied to specific commands and normal attacks. So, for example, Gill's back hard kick will always be ice, always, right? He has 2 motions for his fireballs, 2 motions for his shoulder tackle, and each motion is 1 element. So, like I said, it doesn't matter what side you're on, you'll be able to control which elements you use, except for his pose. As player 1 and player 2 sides, he'll have a different pose. Just, you know, just a little tidbit back to Street Fighter 3. Gill is a full motion character, no charge attacks. I believe he was a motion character as well in Street Fighter 3. Someone can clarify that for me. He has most of his moves back, except he's missing his headbutt. He does not have his headbutt in this game. So, let's talk about his V-skills now. So, his V-skill 1, spoilers, there's 2 V-skills. His V-skill 1 will rain down a slow-moving projectile from the top of the screen to down, kind of like Colleen's ice projectile. And this can be controlled by holding a direction to decide how far the projectile goes, if it's full screen or right in front of you. The element of this projectile depends on your choice of V-trigger, so it can be an ice or fire element, which is pretty cool. His V-trigger 1 is called Primal Fire, and this will amplify all your fire-based elemental attacks, as well as give him access to 2 new moves, which are fire-based moves. His V-trigger 2 is basically the opposite. It's called Ice of Doom, and this will amplify his ice attacks, as well as give him access to 2 new ice-based moves. And some of these moves look really cool. We see that he has like an ice trap, and one that calls the wall balance is like this crazy lance move. So I'm interested. The V-triggers look really strong, and look like it's much easier to land that retribution status. The theme is cool too. I think a lot of people were pointing out it was the second impact theme for Gill's stage, and the stage itself is really, really nice. I'm glad they used a brand new stage look. There, you can see the tower, the spiral tower in the background, and yeah, I was thinking maybe they used like Urian's stage, or maybe just like literally show Gill's stage, one of his stages from Street Fighter 3. But this new one looks really cool. We see a sun and a moon, and then the tower will glow in between rounds. And I think a lot of people are gonna pick up this stage. Hopefully it doesn't lag, of course, but it's good. Another thing to point out is that Gill seems to not have resurrection. Also, another thing where, like, you know, Capcom's like, do we want another Elena situation, or do we want this character to be balanced? So yeah, Gill's super still looks really crazy, but it looks like it has got a projectile hitbox at the beginning, so you can't just use it, fly to the middle of the screen as your opponent hopelessly can't view reversal and gets chipped to death and do like half chip damage like it did in Street Fighter 3, but it still looks great. It's one of the best looking supers, in my opinion. He also has a Pyron costume, a Darkstalker's Pyron costume. That's kind of random, considering it's one of his base premium costumes. I figured they would just easily slip that as an extra battle costume, but no, you can just buy it and pick it up, so that's really cool. Probably the costume I'm going to use. Hopefully it doesn't get confusing what it looks like based on whatever element. So when are we going to be able to play Gill, guys? He'll be playable sometime in December, and players that will be attending, if you're attending Capcom Cup Finals yourself, there'll be some demo stations where you're going to be able to play Gill a little earlier than the rest of us, which is cool. So this kind of hints that Gill will be coming sometime after Capcom Cup Finals, which would be after December 15th, but I'm sure it'll be really shortly afterwards, and especially if they have demo stations for him. I'm sure Gill's already finished as a character, but, you know, they're not going to release Gill now because, you know, we don't want Gill in the Capcom Cup Finals. I mean, he might be OP, right? So, you know, you never know. So, once again, guys, we'll go over Gill in a lot more detail here. We'll break down that entire trailer. We'll go over his entire move list. It's already released, and I'll explain everything I know about that character so far. But he looks great. We're breaking him down a little bit here. Sonic Soul is doing a lot of work, and he looks good. All right, so we got more news. In case you didn't notice, we're getting another version of Street Fighter V called Champion Edition. Not Super Street Fighter V, not Tournament Edition, Champion Edition. Sounds pretty good. I keep calling it Championship by accident, though. So, Champion Edition. I'll try to explain this as clear as I can, because I know a lot of you guys are going to ask me questions about this. A ton of you guys are. So, first off, this will be available both digitally and as a physical copy for PlayStation 4, and it'll also be available for Steam, digital. This will be releasing on February 14th, so basically 2 months after Capcom Cup Finals. So we still have quite a ways before Champion Edition comes out. Champion Edition of Street Fighter V will include every single character released, including Gill, and another new character that hasn't even been announced yet, which is probably going to be shown off at Capcom Cup. The reason I know this is because on the advertisement it says you'll get 40 characters. If you include Gill right now, that's 39 characters, so there's still one missing. So you'll get all 40 characters with Champion Edition. This will also include every single stage and all costumes for every character after Arcade Edition. So there's a lot of, I think there's like 37 stages and 1 billion Chun-Li costumes. I think it's at like over 200. Half of those are Chun-Li. Now, this includes the extra battle costumes. So those are the ones that are like, you know, the crossover costumes, like the Mega Man costumes, the Monster Hunter costumes, etc. But this does not include the CPT DLC, which means the CPT costumes and the CPT stages probably, brand collaboration, which probably means like the Red Bull costumes, and fighting chance, the loot boxes. You won't get the loot box costumes, but whatever. They're garbage anyways. Now, keep in mind, guys, and this is very important, I'll repeat this one more time, because I know a lot of people are going to complain about this. You do not need to buy Champion Edition. You do not. The new mechanics that are coming, such as the second VSkill, the balance patch, all of that is still going to be completely free if you own the game for existing players. This is basically a way for players that don't already have the game to catch up, to just buy the game now and then have everything and not have to worry about unlocking 1 billion things and having zero fight money. Also keep in mind that Gill and this new stage that we're seeing and the other new character announced probably will still be available to purchase separately for money or fight money if you somehow have it. So you don't have to get Champion Edition to get Gill or whatever the new character is going to be. The other new character. Now, Champion Edition is going to cost you $30, 30 bones. But if you already own the game, you can upgrade your current copy to Champion Edition for $25, so $5 off. Even though you only get $5 off, I do still think this is a pretty good deal to upgrade, considering you get 2 characters with it, as well as the new stage, and of course a bunch of costumes. I still think it's worth it, even if you already own all the characters up to this point and stages. It's probably still worth it. But I mean, that's up for you guys to decide, right? You don't have to get it. Finally, there's one more incentive. If you pre-order this Champion Edition digitally, or if you pre-order a physical copy, I guess you'll get a voucher code. You'll get a special shadow color scheme for every single character, including Gill, and probably the new character they're announcing. So they look pretty cool. It's basically every character has got like a shadow color, dark color with blue eyes, basically. And it'll probably be annoying on certain nighttime stages, but whatever. But I have no, and by the way, I have no idea when these pre-orders are available. They just say pre-order. If somebody knows the exact date, please let me know in the comments below. But I'm sure it's going to be soon. So to summarize all this one more time, you do not need to buy Champion Edition if you don't want to. If you just want to keep playing the game and you'll get Gill and whoever else separately and the new stage separately, you can. And this includes the new mechanics, VSkill, balance patch, whatever. If you want to buy Champion Edition, I still think it's worth it. $30 by itself, and you'll get every single character, including Gill and the new character, every stage, and over 200 costumes. And if you want to upgrade your current copy, it'll only cost you $25, so $5 off. So yeah, you guys can let me know what you think about this, if this is a good deal or not, in the comments below. But I'll probably pick it up. I might as well, because I don't really buy all the costumes. I usually just buy for the characters I use. But it sounds like a pretty good deal. Okay, so now let's talk about Champion Edition itself. So one of the main features of Champion Edition, and like I said, guys, I'm sure there's a lot more they need to talk about. Obviously, they didn't even talk about the tournament mode that we already know that's coming. So most of that's already going to be explained at Capcom Cup. But one of the new main features they showed off right now is that every single character will be receiving a second V-Skill. And this is something that we've been talking about for a long time, guys, that I've wanted for a long time. I'm glad they chose a second V-Skill rather than a second Super. I think that'll add a lot more depth to the game. So one thing about these second V-Skills is that you can choose your V-Skill. You don't possess both V-Skills at once. That wouldn't really make sense. That'd be input overlap hell too. And you can also mix and match with your V-Trigger. So if you use V-Trigger 1, it doesn't mean you have to use V-Skill 1. You can use V-Trigger 2 and V-Skill 1 and etc. Right? You can mix and match them any way you please. Now the V-Skills itself, they only showed like 4 or 6 of them. And Capcom got lazy on some of them, which I was afraid about. Where they gave some characters some of their old moves back. However, some of them were really clever and inspired. So the first 2 V-Skills that we see, I think in the trailer, I'm going off the top of my head. I don't actually remember now. The first 2 V-Skills I think we see is that we see Chun-Li's got a new one. She has her Hazansho back. Her flip kick. The flip kick is an overhead kick V-Skill. And it also beats throws apparently. It looks okay on speed. And I always thought Chun-Li's V-Skill 1 was trash. We used to talk about it for so long about her having a better V-Skill. So this is really great for Chun-Li players. And this alone will probably make her really strong. We also saw, I'm just trying to remember now, off the top of my head. Oh man, I really should have wrote this down, guys. So we saw Chun-Li had the new V-Skill. And then we saw Ken. His V-Skill was an overhead flip kick. It looks like that flip kick he has from CVS 2. I'm pretty sure you might have some different things. I thought they would give Ken like a funky kick. Because his V-Skill 1 is really strong, the run for Ken. So I'm really curious on how this flip kick will work. Will it still work from his target combos? Can you combo into it? Like his Lion Breaker and such. So we have that. It wasn't shown in the trailer, but Ryu was shown on the Japanese website. Ryu's second V-Skill is a dodge. I'm sorry, Ryu players. It's a dodge. I don't know why you'd want to use a dodge when you already have a parry, but it's a dodge. Maybe there's something about it we don't know. Maybe it might work like a focus attack or something, but Ryu dodges and then he strikes. Kind of like Laura's V-Trigger 2. So I'm not sure about that. We saw Rashid has a wall jump that you can do mid-screen. That looks super annoying. So I don't know if Rashid's getting nerfed anytime soon. He also cancels it from his projectile, keeping your opponent locked down as he jumps off the wall and attacks you. So thanks, Capcom. Bison has a new V-Skill where he seems to teleport. I'm not sure if the teleport itself is canned, because you see Bison leaning back and canceling to it. And he does a V-Skill where he kicks you, hits you up with a knee attack, and which you can juggle after. So that looks like a good side switch attack. So we have that. And Jury, they actually showed Jury's second V-Skill. She seems to put down this projectile similar to Guile's V-Skill, Sonic Boom. Or I guess you can think of like Milia from Guilty Gear, where she places down like that disc, and where she can mix you up with a left-right, for example. I'm not sure how plus it's going to be. So that's cool too. Am I missing any? Did I name them all, guys? I really hope I didn't miss any off the top of my head. They didn't show much. Like, they didn't show many V-Skills. They only show a quick preview of them. So I'm sure you guys are just scratching your heads thinking about what are the other V-Skills for the other characters. But we won't have to wait long, because Ono said that they're going to be adding the rest of the V-Skills to the database, the CFN website probably, next week. So we'll have an idea just by looking at the names. Like, you know, if you see Zangief that says, you know, Green Hand or something, we're going to have an idea of what they are. So I'm very pleased with oh, I forgot Zeku. Zeku's the most important one. How did I even forget that? Zeku's V-Skill, he sends like this mongoose weasel thing after you. It's kind of like a Nadeshiko V-Trigger, and that looks super annoying, because what is old Zeku going to have the same thing? And if he does, he's going to be able to do his flip into the left-right mix-up on you? I don't know, man. But it looks really cool, and it looks fun, so there's that. I can't believe I forgot that one. It's the most important one. So yeah, okay. I'm also really excited for the balance patch, guys. They confirmed there's going to be a balance patch. I mean, that's not a surprise, but just them saying balance patch is just, I don't know. just saying it out loud gives me just a huge relief for some reason. I don't know. I really hope it's big, and I hope they don't use these second VSkill as an excuse to make the balance patch extra small. And I hope for how long it took them to make these second VSkills come in the game, hopefully it adds a lot of depth and really gives everyone that fresh feel back. And hopefully for you guys that are feeling that Street Fighter V is really stale now, you guys can return to this game, return back to your favorite characters, and hopefully there is new stuff for you guys to do and learn, and basically start over again. Like I said, VSkills is a great step in the right direction, and of course a balance patch will get us coming too. And hopefully they fix up some of those V-Trigger 2s as well. Okay, so finally, we'll be getting our next. We have one more large announcement coming at Capcom Cup on December 15th. And then they'll be explaining everything else that's coming to Season 5. And then it's going to be total lights out, no communication. Well, not no communication, but there won't be another huge patch for Street Fighter V until after the Olympics, which I think is in March. So that's not so bad considering that this Champion Edition is coming in February. So it's not as bad as Ono made it sound now that I think back at it. So hopefully this keeps us occupied to then. I got a lot of work to do. I'll be busy as usual after Capcom Cup, so I'm really happy about that. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this. Are you guys salty that Gill is confirmed in the game? And are you guys afraid that Seth is the last character for Season 4? We'll see if the prophecy becomes true. Hopefully Ono surprises us and we get Oro or something. We'll see, man. More Street Fighter 3 characters. Let us know if you guys are excited for the second VSkill and what VSkills you'd like to see for your favorite character. And are you guys will be picking up Champion Edition? Is this enough to bring you guys back? We'll see. Okay, guys. Like I said, I'll see you again this week with some more in-depth breakdowns on all this content. Okay, guys. Take care, everyone. Peace out.